Hello and welcome to another episode of Munster Hunters. Munster Hunters, the only show that really just stares at Netflix and Amazon Prime and Paramount Plus and Discovery Plus and
Peacock,
Peacock, and Hulu, and just says, screw you, buddy. We're going to watch. Screw you and your original programming. We're watching a 50-year-old sitcom about a Frankenstein monster and his grotesque family. I am Derek, and I am a Munster Hunter. And I've declared that ingenuity does not work. And Keith is here, and he has determined that imagination does not work. Keith, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Again, I'm Keith. I'm a Munster Hunter, and it's because of us watching these old shows. This is why Quibi never worked out.
Quibi, yeah. We told Quibi we'd be doing this in 3 years, and Quibi's like, well, we're out. Peace.
Yeah.
We only got $40 billion in funding, and we blew it all.
Because people like you are watching 50-year-old TV shows.
Yeah.
Some of us on DVD, not even streaming.
So, and speaking of on DVD, he has declared that intelligence does not work.
Yes. That's my
It is the
motto.
Dr. Dre of Kansas. It is Terry. Terry, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. You know, the day I saw that that Quibi went down, I crossed it off my list with a feeling of grim satisfaction, and I looked upon
satisfaction.
what I had left to do and realized my work is far from done.
My work is far. Yeah, I'll take out the rest by watching the Munsters.
Also, Derek, I think Terry's intro should have been that ingenuity didn't work because he's gone from streaming back to DVD.
That's true.
Yeah.
And mine is clearly intelligence does not work. I've given up on being intelligent. I didn't mean that as a slight, Terry. It's just a
nope. That's okay.
Ingenuity, imagination, intelligence do not work. That's our new tagline.
I'll take it, honestly. That's
It's the effect the Munsters could have on people. So.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing this week?
Oh, not too bad. You know, just living day by day, Munster episode by Munster episode.
Munster episode to Munster episode. Living check to check or Munster episode to Munster episode.
Yeah. Gotta go scare up some rent every once in a while. But...
Yep. How about you?
I am doing good. I'm living large like Herman Munster.
Living large like Herman Munster. Well, we're on episode 4 of Living Large like Herman Munster. It's called Rockabye Munster. But before we get into the nitty gritty, we got, oh man, I got to write this down. The
Munster Hunters Almanac Fact of the Week.
The Munster Hunters Almanac Fact of the Week. What's the Munster Hunters Almanacs? Is it the Munster Hunter Almanac or the Munster Hunters Almanac?
Munster Hunters Almanac.
Munster Hunters Almanac.
Yeah.
Fact of the week.
Yeah. This week we are spotlighting Al Lewis, who played Grandpa in every single episode of the Munsters. Probably, I'm going to go on a limb here and say probably the most popular of all of the Munsters overall.
Wow, that's a big limb. I don't know if that's true, but that's not my favorite.
I don't think he might not be that far ahead of Herman, but I think overall, I think people like him the most.
He was my favorite until last episode, and I was like, yeah, he's not as good as I thought he was.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he's a pancake thief. He was born in 1923 in Manhattan, New York. And then he died in 2006, also in New York City of natural causes. In the 1920s, he worked as a circus performer, ultimately decided to go to college, earned a PhD in child psychology from Columbia University.
Whoa, that's cool.
Taught and wrote children's books. In 1949, a suggestion from a friend, he turned to acting at that point.
Wow.
In 1998, he ran as a Green Party candidate for governor of New York.
I remember that.
He was a hot dog vendor at Ebbets Field for the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I remember that.
He was a former basketball player at Thomas Jefferson High School and achieved notoriety as a basketball talent scout.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
And he had a New York radio show up until his death in 2006.
I tuned in every week.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. Further down trivia here. Although he claimed to have a PhD in child psychology from Columbia University, the university has no record of it.
What?
Under his stage name or real name.
So he's a liar. And a thief.
That's suspicious. You
Yeah.
know, back then you could just say it and people would believe you. So I mean,
what was like one of those honorary doctorate or PhDs, right? Like they called in Al Lewis to to like do a commencement speech, and they gave him an honorary PhD in child psychology.
of that, yeah, not acting or theater.
Well,
his character on the Munsters, often incorrectly referred to as Grandpa Munster, even though his name was Sam Dracula.
His name is what?
Munster was the surname of his son-in-law.
Huh?
Oh, Herman. Yeah.
Sam Dracula.
So yeah, it's Herman Munster. So like, and they call him Grandpa Munster, and he's not Herman's grandpa. He's
they
Lily's.
never call him Grandpa Munster in the show. They just call him Grandpa.
That's true.
His character name though listed is always Grandpa Munster.
Oh,
okay.
weird.
Yeah.
So it's Lily Dracula. That was her name before she married Herman.
Yeah. Also, after his death, his son announced that Lewis had in fact been born in April of 1923, not 1910, as the actor had previously claimed.
Oh,
this dude is quite the character. He also, when he ran for governor of New York, he wanted the court wouldn't let him do it, but he wanted to list his name as Grandpa Al Lewis on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah,
wow,
that's like prejudicial. Probably putting his name on there, Grandpa Munster Al Lewis. Like, I will vote for Grandpa Munster.
Mm-hmm.
His real name is Alexander Meister.
Alexander Meister?
Yeah. Meistr.
Is that first name? What?
Meistr.
Meister. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There are just a couple quick facts this week about Al Lewis. I'm sure we'll touch on him again as the series goes on, because we're only on episode 4 of 70.
What an interesting
Munster
name.
Hunters Almanac fact of the week.
Wink.
And then, well, it wouldn't be a Munster Hunter episode if we didn't put on the gear, sit on the edge of the boat, fall backwards, and dive into another scuba, the self-contained underwater Munster apparatus deep dive.
You know what? I like that name. If listeners, you still have suggestions, that's fine. But it's gonna be hard to top that. But we're talking about Rockabye Munster, which was directed by Norman Abbott. I won't go into him in too much depth because he directed last episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
go back and listen. Go back and listen to that one
out
again. Find out more about him if you need to.
He's a director. He's directed lots of stuff, but he's also was an actor. He's got 9 acting credits. I go throughout the 40s and 50s. And he played a character called Ape in a movie called Keep 'Em Sluggin'.
I want to watch this movie. He played an ape, or he played a character named Ape?
He played a character, as far as I could tell, a character named Ape. So that's what caught my attention.
Just a character named Ape. I love it.
I was really hoping he was like in an ape costume, but I don't think so. It's an action comedy about a bunch of like workers at this hardware store, and I guess they get framed for like some sort of like silk being hijacked. It's not the direction I thought.
Definitely not. So Keep 'Em Sluggin' has it's Tommy Banning and his pals Pig, Ape, and String have jobs in a department store where store executive Frank Molto is romantically attracted to somebody else, and then obviously, you know, the other issues here. But yeah, that does not. What does that keep him slugging?
Yeah, well, at the end, he gets out on bail, one guy, and he's got to gather up all his pals because they're going to go lay the beat down on the real hijackers, I believe, is where the keep him slugging comes from.
Yeah, framed for the silk robbery.
Yeah.
Classic. That is a classic plot line through a lot of early crime comedy capers.
Okay. So on IMDb, they do throw, you know, you can get multiple summaries on here. Another one here says a gang of tough street kids decided to go straight and get jobs in order to free draft age men.
What?
In order to free draft age men for the war effort. However, because of their past tangles with the law, they can't find anybody who will hire them. Finally, one gets a job at a department store where his sister works, but runs afoul of store executive who is in league with a ring of hijackers.
Wow.
Well, that's convoluted.
If I can't name, on my hand the amount of times that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode was written by Joe Connolly, Norm Leibman, and Bob Mosher. All these people we have talked about before. Joe Connolly, he's kind of he's wrote a lot of Munsters movies. He hasn't directed them, but he wrote a lot, including the first episode. Norm Leibman, same. He's one of the main guys that developed the show. He's credited on every episode. And Bob Mosher, he's worked on the Munsters before, and he wrote and produced that first episode with Joe Connolly. So we're seeing some recurring people here, but
the special guest. Do you have anything on the special guest?
Yes, so there's a lot of special guests on this one. We got Paul Lind as Dr. Dudley, Sid Melton as Diamond Jim, the car dealer, Peter Robbins as Elmer Dudley, and Marilyn Lavelle as Mrs. Dudley. Did you have something about Paul Lind you want to talk about?
He was just I recognized him immediately. I couldn't think of what his name was, but he was and I recognized him because of the Carol Burnett show. He was in that, but he's also in Bewitched and a lot of other things.
Yeah,
he was a pretty famous comedian.
He went from 1954 to 1979 with his acting stuff, for at least according to IMDb. So he has been around for a while. Yeah. What I was looking at his credits and I saw that he voiced a character called Pumpkinhead in an animated sequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Nice.
Called Journey Back to Oz, where Dorothy teams up with Pumpkinhead and a character called Woodenhead, who's a living carousel horse.
Classic heads, the Head Brothers.
Yep. It's just
the Head Brothers.
Woodenhead and Pumpkinhead. Name a more iconic duo than that. Yeah.
Can't.
Then we have Sid Melton. His acting career was from 1941 to 1999. He's also directed a couple of things. And one of them was really weird. I was like trying to find more information about it, and like I literally couldn't find anything. It was called ... and Call Me in the Morning. And this was like his final directing thing in 1999. I don't know what it is. And it was another case of IMDb asking me if I knew anything about it when I went to the page. I was like, uh-oh. Okay. I Googled it. I could.
First person that's been this page in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I Googled it. There's really nothing. He starred in it though as well, and along with Trish Cook and Frank Sinatra Jr. Nice. All I know for sure about it is that a couple people were like, their characters were a couple of nurses, and there was a hairstylist. So that's all I know about that. But thought that was interesting. I always find it very interesting when there's like some project that like there's no record of and nobody knows anything about it. Then we got Peter Robbins. He did a lot of his acting at a young age from 1963 to 1972. And I actually knew some of his stuff when I was scrolling. Do you guys happen to know what famous animated character he played?
No.
He was Charlie Brown.
Did he just die?
I saw that he had died, but I don't know when.
I think that was like just this week or like last week, the guy who voiced Charlie Brown.
He kind of had an interesting life as well. He quit acting in 1972 and he became a radio jockey. And then he went to a school for psychology and communications. And then he worked in real estate after that. So,
well, Keith, when you say recently,
January 18th,
it was like, well, I Googled it and it says 5 hours ago.
Huh?
Peter Robbins, original voice of Charlie Brown, dies at 65.
According to IMDb, he died on January 18th, 2022.
Oh.
Wow, that's soon. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah, 4 days ago.
That's too bad. Yeah, Charlie Brown. He did like all the classics. You probably watched for the holidays, like the Thanksgiving one, the Great Pumpkin one.
And he wasn't that old. Oh, this is the kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That makes
and
sense.
he did this role of Elmer. He did before doing any of the Charlie Brown stuff, because then that started in like 1965.
Yep.
Wild.
Pre Charlie Brown.
Pre-Brown.
And then finally Marilyn Lavelle has 11 acting credits, and they're going from 1956 to 1996. And it seems like she was more of actually like she performed music more often than really was an actor. She did a lot of show tunes, and she was known to have like kind of like comedic elements. She performed with other comedians sometimes. And she helped and perform music for movie soundtracks. She wrote the lyrics for a song called Torment and Scream, Blackula Scream.
So Scream, Blackula Scream. That's what it was?
Yes.
All right. That's awesome.
Yep.
Scream, the Scream.
I want to watch that movie. That sounds
Cue
amazing.
that up. That's what we're watching next. But first, we have to watch season 1, episode 4 of the Munsters, Rock Up by Munster, which gets a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb.
Really?
One of the higher rating ones. Yeah, it's not as high as last episode got a 7.8. This one's got a 7.7. And here is the breakdown. Herman believes that Lily's expecting a child. And that's it. So it opens up with Herman and Grandpa watching a soap opera or a medical drama on TV. Like they're watching the description of a surgery.
Yes.
On TV. And then the TV set acts up right in the middle. And then Grandpa says, right in the middle of my favorite comedy. So,
it's the opposite. Yeah.
So he's beating on the TV. He changes the channel. There's a Western. Igor, the bat, comes in. He starts squeaking. And then Grandpa says he hates TV ever since Bat Masterson went off the air. I don't know who that is, but I'm sure.
I do.
Oh, Keith knows.
Bat Masterson was a TV series. It had 3 seasons, 108 episodes. It was on from 1958 to 1960. And Bat Masterson, American Western television series, which was a fictionalized account of the life of real life Marshall Gambler Dandy, Marshall/Gambler/Dandy, Bat Masterson. Title character played by Gene Barry. It was on NBC. So this is another one of those little pop culture references.
Yep.
So Igor doesn't like that because of the name? Bat Masterson? Okay.
He's big on Bat Masterson.
Bartholomew William Barclay Bat Masterson was a U.S. Army scout, lawman, professional gambler, and journalist known for his exploits in the 19th and early 20th century of the American Old West. He was born to a working class Irish family. Quebec. Yeah. But because of the TV show's name is Bat, and it's ever since it was off, Igor is not happy.
No. But Grandpa shoots him off. Get out of here, Igor. You little son of a bitch. So now we get another reference that was from the previous episode. Herman says you shouldn't have repaired this with those war surplus radar parts. So they really got to think about war surplus parts. They must be garbage.
Yeah.
So he's pissed off about that. He hits it and gets a kick. I don't know. So he hits it, blah, blah. And then he tells Herman, he's like, don't be so hot-headed. And Herman's like, I can't help it. That's how I'm made. Which is it got a laugh from the can.
Yeah.
But I think
there's one of those references every episode, probably.
Yeah, but this one there's a few of these where how he's made. So now the radar parts are tuning into the house where there are apparently cameras all over the place. I don't know how this works.
Herman's like, is he spying or is Grandpa spying on the family?
So Grandpa last episode made a growing like an enlarging device, right?
Yes.
It worked.
Yes.
It made things bigger.
Yeah.
But he couldn't like handle the electricity part. Now he has repaired a television with radar parts that pick up camera signals. So we tune in on Eddie, who's trying to catch the cat some food, and you can hear audio. Eddie's talking. The cat roars. Rawr.
Yep.
And you're like, oh man. So tuning in, watching Eddie. And then they tune in and they see Lily and Marilyn. They're in the kitchen.
Oh, by the way, Eddie, he's trying to catch the raven out of the clock.
Oh, is that what he's doing to feed the cat?
Yeah.
I was very disinterested, to be honest.
That seems to be how it goes with a lot of Eddie's plot lines.
Okie doke. Well,
Eddie,
like the whole technology part was really throwing me for a loop. But then we tune into Lily and Marilyn, and they're in the kitchen and they're talking.
We hear them talking. Yeah.
No, there's no talking. We just see them talking. And then Herman says, try to see if we can hear what they're saying. I love eavesdropping. We could hear what Eddie was saying.
Yeah.
It's not like a new wrinkle in the way this works, but whatever. This whole thing really upset me. Like, this stinks.
I could have sworn we could like hear them talking in the background already, and he was like, "Let's turn up the audio or something." I was like, "We can hear them," but maybe I was thinking of Eddie. So it's just a weird. It's such a strange,
it's very weird
thing.
Marilyn and Lily, they're talking, and their conversation makes it sound like Lily is pregnant.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't really care much for it. Was it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Eddie's going to have a new playmate and we're all excited. And then Herman realizes, and then she's like, are you going to tell Herman? And then she's like, well, I'll let Herman know when he needs to know. And then Herman hears this and it doesn't upset him. He realizes he is such a minuscule part of this whole Lily being pregnant plan, and it doesn't bother him at all.
Nope.
He's just like, I'm excited. And then he goes, what do you think, Grandpa? Will it be a boy or a girl? And Grandpa says, probably. Which I can't remember if the can laughed at it or not. I meant to write it down when cans laugh at things.
I did.
Yeah, I was like, that's a weird line. And then we get the banger, right? That's when the drop
that theme
comes in, man. It's like drops the bass. There it is. And we get Herman still pleased as punch that he landed a wife like Lily.
I like Herman's reaction. I also like Eddie's reaction where he's got like this weird look on his face when Lily goes in to grab his head.
Yeah.
Like, what? I like that. That stood out to me for whatever reason this time watching. I was like, that's a pretty good face. Good for you.
And Grandpa still tries to bite his daughter's wrist.
Yep.
Yeah. So we come back and Marilyn's still talking to Lily. And now we have to rehash what we saw before the theme song. It's like a minute ago when you were talking, did you feel like we were being watched? And Lily's like, no, but I'll check. So he looks in the oven. No Eddie. He looked in the oven for Eddie because he likes to be in there. He looked in the cupboard for Grandpa where Eddie usually is. And no Grandpa in there.
There's a bird, though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the bird was in there. It's like, I wish the bird would stay in his clock or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yep. So he's just allowed. He's not stuck in there, I guess.
No.
He's like allowed to just roam and go nevermore, and fly around.
And he said nevermore. Yeah. Whatever. So Marilyn says that, she's babysitting the family doctor's son, Dr. Dudley's son. And the doctor's wife are going to a convention. Marilyn's going to watch little Elmer, which is such a great name. And so Lily's going to break the news to Herman gently because there's lots of layers to this plot. His birthday is this week, and we know he doesn't like strange people in the house. And then so Marilyn says, better wait till he's in a good mood. We don't want him falling to pieces. And you're just like, here it comes. And he's like, he's so hard to put back together again. And then
implying that he's a man made of many parts. And
Now, remember when she looked in the oven for Eddie, she opened up and flames shot out, right?
Yes.
So I'm like, no, Eddie. So then now she goes to put a cake in the oven. Flames come out. And then she goes, devil's food cake. They all love it. And I guess the joke is that it's devil's food cake. Like the last episode, Grandpa was upset that the angels won.
Yeah.
Now we have devil's food cake in an open flame.
So I rewound this segment because it looked like she was putting empty pans into the oven.
Yeah, I'm be honest, I was paying like half attention, and at first I thought it was like a garbage chute. I didn't realize it was the oven, right? Like she's opening up, and I was like, "Oh, that's where they put the trash." And then
you got a problem if a giant flame is coming out of your oven like that.
It's the
like,
Munsters.
you should get a look
I
at.
assume there's like a monster or dragon down there or something, or that's where Spot is at or something. I had no idea. And then it's like, wait a minute, devil's food cake. So I rewound it and watched that. And I'm like, oh, it is in the oven. We go from there to Herman and Lily on the balcony during a storm.
Yes.
Right. And Herman's like, oh, it's like our honeymoon. Remember that? Devil's Island.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't know what this is. Keith, do we have trivia on Devil's Island?
I've got some.
I'm assuming it's a thing.
Well, I know they reference they met Captain Dreyfus there.
Captain Dreyfus, yeah, I have a question mark here.
So I googled this because I was like, because sometimes with these pop culture references, I just let it slide. I'm like, whatever, it's something they just are talking about. But this time I was like, what are they talking about? Like, this seems so oddly specific. And yeah, he was convicted of treason. This guy named Alfred Dreyfus in 1894 for allegedly passing military secrets to the Germans. And he was imprisoned on Devil's Island. But he was eventually pardoned because the evidence was super flimsy. And I think some other guy actually admitted that he had like forged a lot of it. And it was perhaps mostly due because the French or whoever were like, it was more like about like anti-Semitism rather than like justice. They were mad at him because he was Jewish. So
sure. Okay. So Devil's Island was a prison island.
Yep.
But the only prisoner was Captain Alfred Dreyfus.
Well, that they spoke of, right? They're like, because they're like, oh, all the good resorts closed down. Like, we should have kept in touch with that Captain Dreyfus. I wonder where he's up to. Something like that.
Yeah. That's not even a hot topic from like.
No, it's not even topical. It's 1894. And it's a very esoteric reference, very obscure, right? Like the writer knew about it, and that was about it.
Yeah. I feel like the writer was really like proud about that reference. Like,
yeah, he knew about
tightening his tie. Like, yeah, snuck that in.
And it's not like a Wikipedia where you can like type in devil and then find all the references. Right? Like, oh, Devil's Island. This sounds interesting. Nope.
Yeah.
Are we sure though that like if I do a in looking this up here, are we sure they're not talking about Devil's Island in Ashland County, Wisconsin? Are we sure we're not talking about that?
Well, if there's a Captain Dreyfus there, maybe.
No, I don't think so. That'd be too much of a coincidence, I think. But
okay, why was Devil's Island in Wisconsin?
It's one of 22 Apostle Islands in northern Wisconsin.
I don't know what that means.
Has been known as Louisiana Island, Barney and Lamborn's Island, Brownstone Island, and Rabbit Island.
I still don't know what any of those words
but
mean.
never Dreyfus Island or anything like that.
I don't know what any of that is.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
It's an island. I don't know. It's if there was a resort there, it closed down, which is possible. There's lots of closed resorts in Wisconsin. So Herman, they're in the storm. Herman is hinting that Lily is quiet and she should be talking more. Maybe, about a bundle. And she's like, oh, that's right. I got a bundle of laundry I have to. So she gets up and walks by. And as she walks by, she drops a piece of paper. It is Dr. Dudley's card that Marilyn gave her earlier. Yeah. Like, oh, he even gave us his card with his phone number, right?
Yeah. And also, she wants to go put the laundry out on the line. She's going to go hang it. Yeah.
Take advantage of the good weather.
And Herman's like begging her to stop. You got your paper. You dropped the paper. And she just like ignores him. She's like still with an earshot. Walks away.
This paper. And she's like, fuck you. I'm done talking to you, dimwit. And she just goes.
He goes going on about the paper again. Oh boy.
It's always about a paper or whatever. So Dr. Dudley, MD, he reads that, and then he has a look of concern for some reason. I don't understand why he'd be concerned. Like, because he thinks that she's pregnant, and then having the card of a doctor only makes sense, right?
Yeah. I guess he doesn't like this guy, though. That's kind of what they kind of hint at that, right? Like
well, they get to that. Well, they have a very long conversation out in front of his house. But yeah, it's like, doctor, I don't know. I don't get it. So then Herman and Grandpa go to Dr. Dudley's house. I don't know why, but they go there to find out from Dr. Dudley himself about the pregnancy.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah. Herman's like, at least when we bother him at this hour, it's only 4 a.m. in the morning. And they're like, well, the grandpa's like, yeah, all those doctors have those crazy parties at night and blah, blah, blah. He's getting home. And then we cut in and we see the doctor. He's up and he's complaining. I thought he had heard Herman and Grandpa out there talking, but he's just up because he has indigestion and he lost his darn glasses.
He's got a lot of problems.
And then this wife's like, what is the problem? He's like, you and your oysters, Rockefeller. Okay. And the doctor, he can't see without his glasses. He can't even stand upright because of indigestion. He's like, I'm gonna go drink some hot milk. I don't know what that does for anything. Yeah.
I thought, well, a glass of warm milk, I guess, helps put people to sleep.
Is one thing. Hot milk.
But also, if you've already got a stomachache from Oysters Rockefeller, I don't think milk is what you should be going for.
Hot dairy. And hot dairy, once it gets to a point, starts to curdle, right? Because
yeah.
So the doctor then looks in the mirror and says, "Oh, dearie, you look awful." And his wife's like, you're looking at yourself, you dipshit. I'm over here. And then the doorbell rings at 4 a.m. And he goes, I'll get it. Not like, who the hell's ringing the doorbell at 4 a.m.? It's like, I'm going that way anyway.
Like, I get it. Okay, so he does have glasses. You can't find them right now, but these are glasses that are going to make like Harry Carey's look like they're thin, normal eyeglasses. But also, aren't there any like, he's a doctor. Shouldn't you have to like pass some sort of like visual tests in order to be a doctor? Because I mean, look, I get it. If somebody quickly looks at a mirror and, it kind of looks like a picture. And if they don't recognize themselves right away, I mean, I can sympathize with that. But
you can relate to this, Keith? Is that what you're saying?
You see something that looks like a picture of a person and you can't tell if it's yourself or not. I get that.
Exactly, yeah.
But this guy has no glasses. He has all other senses out the door. Perception eliminated. He can't tell up from down, left from right, hot from cold. It's all gone.
It's like hysteria. Like he's got like a psychological issue going on here.
It's just like, what is going on? So then we cut to Herman and Grandpa. They're at the door, and then of course they're talking outside the door because they got to set up some stuff here, right? And Herman's like, and Grandpa's like, you gotta be up front. You got to ask. And Herman's like, okay. But I think there was like a conversation there. It's like the last time I was here, he fainted, or like I went for a checkup and he fainted. So the doctor opens the door and stares directly into Herman's chest. And he says, yes, what is it at this hour? And then so Herman's like telling him, blah, blah, I'm here. And he goes, you look like a patient I recently lost. Meaning a dead patient, right?
Yeah.
But so he can see enough of Herman to he couldn't tell that he wasn't his wife in a mirror right in front of him, but he can tell that Herman looks like. And then he's like, no, you examined me once and fainted in the middle of the examination. And the doctor goes, did I? I gotta watch that fainting. Meaning he faints a lot. He does it all the time.
Yeah, apparently this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the normal thing of people getting scared by Herman looking like Frankenstein. He's just got a thing where he faints.
Now, here was the second funniest part of this whole episode for me. Grandpa talks, and the doctor says, what not this part. When I don't have my glasses, I hear double, and then Herman's like, no, that's my grandpa. And he goes, oh, he looks like a tall penguin. And that part made me genuinely laugh. I chuckled out loud at that.
Like a tall penguin.
And it was my second favorite part of the episode. We'll get to my first.
That was great. Oh, you're right.
So Herman wants to know. He's like, Doc, you got to let me know. Is my wife expecting a child? And this idiot doctor somehow remembers at 4 a.m. this piece of information and says, yes, all the arrangements have been made. With your wife, the child is good to go. Well, it'll be there, right? So Herman shakes his hand, right? This idiot doctor who can't remember anything, he faints all the time, remembers this specific piece of information. But then he shakes Herman's hand, and now Herman has a new power, hairy ass hands.
Yes. What is up with that?
Because the doctor goes, I remember you brought your dog to the last appointment. and you put his paw out. So this idiot doctor thinks this 9-foot man's hand is a dog's paw. So that would be an enormous dog. And you don't see hair on Herman's hands ever before.
No,
but he's got hairy, not just like hair on your knuckles, but just a rug of hair on the back of his hand.
Yeah, like Wolfman-esque hair almost on it, and it's like, what is going? Like, where is this coming from?
And
like this is this random thing. We've seen his hands plenty. Why are we suddenly seeing this? Also, if he is a Frankenstein monster, so technically he's a bunch of dead body parts together. Like, is this hair growing all the time? Like,
I don't know.
What is going on here?
Maybe it comes out when it's excited. Herman's excited.
Maybe.
He grows a big part of the hair on the back of his right hand. I don't know. But the doctor pets it. Pets the hand.
The doctor thinks this man has brought his dog and his tall penguin with him to talk about his wife.
Yep. So the doctor leaves. Grandpa goes, "You see, Herman, I told you it was true. He's not treating Lily for no hangnail." Okay. So the doctor goes back to bed. Says he couldn't find the kitchen. He lives in the house. I can walk around my house with my eyes closed and I can find the kitchen. No problem.
Yes.
Right? He couldn't find the kitchen. And then who was at the door? Oh, it was Herman Munster. He's watching Elmer, right? And she's like, "Oh yeah, nice people. Marilyn is nice. What's Herman like?" And then he goes, "I couldn't get a good look without my specs, but it turns out he was about 9 feet tall and had a penguin with him." That turned out to be his grandfather. So he's 9 feet tall, had a penguin that's his grandfather. And she doesn't blink. She's just like, makes sense. This is my idiot husband says the dumbest shit, and this does not faze me. Unfazed, much like the babysitter.
This doctor is getting quite the showcase, I might add. Like this is like feels like a comedy routine or something that he came up with.
Is this the part though where like she's like, "You need to stop worrying about Medicare"?
Yeah, that comes up. And then he goes, "It's grandfather," and she goes, "Oh, Edward, you better get some sleep. I didn't know worrying about Medicare was bothering you this much." Oh, socialized medicine was a problem in the 60s. And this doctor's dumbass then lays down on the floor next to the bed and goes, "This mattress is lumpy." Now this,
and his wife doesn't tell him.
She does not like him, I don't think.
I think it's funny, but there's nobody this dumb. Herman is the dumbest person in the show. Yeah. You shouldn't have another character dumber than Herman.
Yeah, especially if he's a doctor. I like this doctor, but it felt like this. We were talking last episode about the Munsters brand of humor, and I was like, this doesn't really feel like the Munsters brand at all. But
it was so weird, and it was funny. The penguin shit, man, that killed me.
That was so good.
So
I thought it was a giant penguin.
Yeah, and it turned out to be his grandpa. That all made me laugh. I like that, but the fact that this is a doctor and he's that dumb,
it just goes on and
very
on
troubling.
and on.
Very troubling. So now we cut back. Marilyn's talking to Lily. Well, like, where's Herman? No, he took Spot to the car wash for his weekly bath. That got canned laughter. So Herman, last episode, right? Monster in the park. This episode goes out and date with a monster to the car wash. So Marilyn does not know what to get Herman for his birthday. That's right. It's his birthday this week. We all totally forgot because it's all been about the doctor.
Yep.
Would he like a snakeskin tobacco pouch? No, the old one is still wiggling. So Lily says, Herman's been wanting a second car. I'm going to get him a second car. Last episode, he was grunting in the dark about bills. $103 electric bill. Previous episode, he's got to go out and scare up rent. This episode, Lily's like, I'm just going to get a second car. Surprise. It's like a Lexus commercial, right? He's gonna walk out with a bow on a car, and I'm like, where is so wildly inconsistent. And then Marilyn says,
they spend so much money, they use up so much resources.
I know. And Marilyn then says, well, I'll just get him another season pass to Forest Memorial Park. And then I wrote this down. There was canned laughter for that. And I don't get what was funny. It was
like a cemetery or something?
I don't know. It would be, I don't know what human could hear that line and genuinely laugh at it.
Bust up, yeah.
Unless they worked at Forest Memorial Park.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't get it.
There's one here in Jasper, Georgia, and it says find a grave next to it. So I'm going to guess, yes, this is Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Hollywood Hills.
Is it a cemetery?
6 Forest Lawn cemeteries in Southern California.
Well, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Very specific to.
That,
I mean,
it's very regional.
I've been living in a flyover state. No idea what that means. All right, so we cut to a used car lot. Guy standing there. A driverless car pulls up. He's like, what? He's like rubbing his eyes. Nobody in the driver's seat. The door opens. So this is apparently the invisible man that Grandpa was playing checkers with 2 episodes ago.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So he's an invisible man. He's not a ghost. I thought he was a ghost, but
or it's a ghost. Who knows? The door opens up, and then the camera follows like someone's walking around the car, opens up Lily's door in the back passenger side, and Lily gets out. So for some reason they need a second car when Lily doesn't even drive. She has to have a driver.
The invisible man's driving around the family, it seems. Yeah.
So Lily walks up to a bewildered car salesman and says, now this whole exchange really confused me. Are you Diamond Jim? Yes. Did I talk to you on the phone earlier? No. It must have been my brother Diamond Irving. Then how did you know it was Diamond Jim?
Oh, that's so weird. What a weird
he called
joke.
And talked to Diamond Irving, but didn't come and ask for Diamond Irving. Said, "Oh, are you Diamond Jim?" Yeah, and he's like, "Yep." So
it's all could have been cut. That part you don't need that. Just say yes, I'm Diamond Jim. Talk to me on the phone.
Unless they wanted to say Diamond Irving, like that's funny. I guess maybe I don't know.
It was to me. I'll be honest.
But like the whole thing, it was like I don't get what's going on here. So anyway, she's looking for something nice for her husband's birthday. He says, were you in the movies? And she says, yeah, we saw a lovely picture called Body Snatchers, which I am assuming is the Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. I thought I might have seen you on the Late Late Show. And she is very flattered. She's like, oh. But Lily doesn't. So he goes and shows her a car. It was owned by a doctor, maybe, or something. I can't remember what it was. Or no, a preacher, a Hollywood preacher, something like that. Lily doesn't like the first car because it has leopard upholstery. And she goes, what about something with wolf hide? Which was a weird request. And he's like, yeah, how about this over here? This hot rod. It's like fitted with genuine Tijuana something or other.
Genuine Tijuana tuck and roll.
Yep, that's what it was. And
which is a real thing.
What is that? Oh, okay, what is it?
It's a type of upholstery or upholstering actually done, I guess, back then.
Tijuana tuck and roll.
There's an Urban Dictionary thing for it as well, but I think we'll skip what that is.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something that we should be doing these days.
Tijuana tuck and roll. Well, now also let's take note. The car prior was like $7,000, which I'm thinking about. Like, man, that's an expensive car.
Yeah,
like even if today, like a used car for $7,000. I mean, that's a chunk of change. I mean, it's not, whatever. But I mean, back then they had been like $50,000, right?
Yeah.
So then she sees this hot rod with the Tijuana tuck and roll, and she's taken by it. But she's like, no, wait. I like that baby right there, and it's a hearse. And he's like, what, you like this? He's like, yeah, it's a hearse. Grandpa's dying for something like this, which I'm assuming was a joke, right? And he's like, are you sure this is a hearse? Or he doesn't say hearse. They don't say hearse. So I wonder if that was like on the list of banned words. Don't say hearse.
If it was implied. Yeah, because I wasn't sure. I assumed that's what it was, but I was like, why aren't they just saying it? Why aren't they coming out and just telling us what this is? So she says she wants it. I'll take it. Now, this is where it gets, to me, just equally unbelievable as anything that we've seen so far. She goes, I'll take it. And I'll take that one too. If
you can call a custom body shop
Mhm.
and tell them it's a rush order, a rush job, and have them, and then that's when it fades out. So not only are we days away from Herman's, birthday,
Yep.
she's going out to buy a car when we've been fretting about bills and scaring up rent.
Yep.
She's not going to buy one car. She's going to buy 2 cars. Then,
Okay, but Derek, your first car though was $7,000 some dollars.
I get that.
The hearse is only $943, and the
Yep.
hot rod is $795. So she's making a great deal here.
I
off
get
of
that. I
Diamond
get that they're
Jim.
cheaper than the other one. But then she's requesting custom body work, right?
in just a few days.
It's going to fuse the 2 cars together into the Munster car that we all know and love, right? So that's going to happen, right? But she thinks she has the audacity to assume that can happen in a few days. Call your custom body shop, tell them to drop everything they got going on. I got nothing but money. I got an invisible driver.
Call up West Coast Customs.
Yeah.
An exhibit. And
to me, this was the most outlandish of all of the things. I was like, I was angry for the custom body shop. Like, they're going to get that phone call. They're going to get that phone call and be like, who is asking for this? This Munster lady. Who? And like, she would just have to be dropping money on them like crazy to turn this around in like a day or 2.
Yep.
but think about it. If you went to an auto place now and you were like, yeah, I'll take this one and give me that one over there, they'll probably be a little open to like helping you out and finding like something to do, like and getting stuff done for you. Maybe that's the same type of thing. She's like, yeah, I'll take this car and that one, and then take it over to a custom place. And they're like, you're going to buy 2 cars? Absolutely, lady. Sure.
No, well, hold on. Now, it's not just 2 cars, but now she's requesting that they become one.
Combined together.
Like it's not they're made of like Play-Doh and you can pull the pieces apart and stick them back together. It's not Legos. Right? It is legit the cars. Anyway, whatever. So after my fury died down, I hit play again, and then we resumed to Grandpa and Herman. They're coming in from digging in the garden, and garden is looking better this year. And Herman's like, "Yeah, things are dying out earlier." Once again, very unexpected.
Did you guys pay attention to what they were carrying with them?
But I'm assuming it was something to kill things.
Quick grow for toadstools.
Okay.
Crabgrass seed and some kind of beetle food.
The best things you can possibly do to kill a garden.
Yeah.
And then so Grandpa asks as Lily has told Herman about the little one they're expecting. And he's like, no, she hasn't said anything. And Herman has dropped all sorts of hints. And Grandpa's like, well, isn't that like a woman? And Herman wants to relax after all of this work outside. This is such an unnecessary scene. And then he's like, how about we go in the parlor? He takes off his coat and he says, how about we go in the parlor and play chess? Grandpa's like, no, let's go in there and play a 3-handed game of solitaire. And it gives him back his coat. Like he needs this coat that he just took it off. Like he was out digging in the garden. He needs this dirty ass coat again to play solitaire. Oh,
Grandpa also never knew when half his wives were expecting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what he said too. Yeah. I guess that was the point of this scene. It was very unnecessary though.
Did you notice how like, and this for whatever reason, this episode it like was very obvious, like all the cobwebs everywhere. And they're like sticking to the actors as they were like talking to each other and like trying to like walk through it. It looks so uncomfortable.
I did not notice, but now I need to go back and watch again. So then they're off to play a 3-handed game of solitaire. That's not how solitaire works. So then Lily is talking to Diamond Jim on the phone about the customizations, right? And Herman and Grandpa are on the outside of the room. They walk in to play their solitaire and they hear Lily talking, which the phone is in a coffin, which is kind of cool. So she's on the phone. I haven't told my husband anything yet. It'll make a great birthday surprise, don't you think? More thoughtful than a new necktie. And then you keep cutting back to Herman and Grandpa, and they're like, "Oh, what? My birthday surprise? A 30-day guarantee, and I know we can always trade it in if he doesn't like it." And then Herman's look on his face, he's like, "What? and it's a 30-day guarantee, and this motherfucker is a custom rush job, body shop work. There's no 30-day guarantee.
No.
You pay for this. You own this. You own it. I was getting angry again. So then Grandpa and Herman, they're like, are we sure we're talking about a baby here? And then she goes, oh, yeah, I won't forget about the custom seat covers. And then Herman goes, believe me, she's talking about a baby. All right.
Implying that they need that for some sort
Babies
of monsters.
have custom, like it's the most obvious of all of the things that it's a car because of seat covers, but I don't know. So now Herman is downstairs for breakfast and he gives Lily a big kiss because he's for sure there's a baby coming. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, good morning to you. And Herman insists on setting the table and fixing breakfast. He doesn't want Lily slaving away in the kitchen. And then he puts Lily down in the chair. And she goes, Herman, you're so forceful. And it's like, ooh, Lily likes it. Like this is the horny moment. But yeah,
he reaches down, he just grabs her by the butt and lifts her up.
Yep.
Yes.
And moves her over. And she's like, you're so forceful. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of creepy.
Yep. And the grandpa comes down and Herman says he's fixing breakfast. And Grandpa's like, oh, yes, I understand. This is very thoughtful of you, Herman. Mm-hmm. And so Herman grabs a vase. He looks at it confused. I thought he's going to cook with this was my first thought. I'm like, he's going to make something in this vase. But instead, instead of opening the window, he punches through the window, which, I mean, this is your damn window, man. Mm-hmm. You got to fix this now. Mm-hmm. So he pulls out a big handful of weeds from the backyard and he puts them in the vase and puts them on the table. And he says, lovely weeds for a lovely lady.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird moment for me.
Very slick, very suave. Mm-hmm. and they were just straight up weeds. There was nothing there wasn't even like a stray flower in there, nothing. So Eddie slides down a pole. Is that what happens now?
It's like a fire pole, yeah.
Eddie is here. If we'd forgotten about Eddie, he is here.
Yeah. He came down a pole. Where did that pole come from?
It wasn't there when he walked over, I thought.
He's usually in the cabinet. No, he slides down a pole. And Herman sits him down and puts a napkin around his neck. And he's like, hey, Daddy's getting breakfast. What's up, Grandpa? And Grandpa's like, shh. And then now he says this next line, which implies once again that Herman is out and about and people know who he is. Yeah. Was Daddy up all night playing poker with those men from the office? So Herman goes to an office. He goes to an office. When?
Another
don't
clue.
know. People
he works with people and they see him and they play poker sometimes.
Yeah.
So he's got friends outside of work.
Nope. And then Eddie's like, well, something's got to be up from back in this mushy. And Lily's like, no, he's just naturally a sweet man. Aren't you, pussycat? And then he goes, I tried to be mother.
Oh God, the way he says that.
Yes, that was
very
creepy.
Mike Pensy.
That was like a chill down my spine when he said
mother.
Mother.
So now we cut to Lily in the other room, and Herman is bringing in a snack for lunch: strawberries and pickles, which I'm assuming is a craving combination for pregnant women. And that's what I was
like
thinking.
A pickles and ice cream or something like that type thing that
sweet
people
and sour, yeah. And she's like, so Herman sits down. He's going to play music on the organ while Lily eats. And she's eating strawberries. He's blasting a bunch of dust and shit out of the organ.
That can't be healthy.
Nope. And he goes, it's Brahms' Lullaby, and which was not recognizable in any way whatsoever.
Herman sucks at the organ so bad.
Yes.
Lily, last episode we saw Lily play, she was good. I thought she did a great job. Herman, oh God, please stop. Like I was mad about this.
It was unrecognizable. And he's like, Brahms Lullaby. I'm like, okie doke.
Dust flying everywhere. Oh man. He couldn't just play like a cool, creepy song. Like,
nope.
Man. Nope.
And then so Lily's like, this is the moment. Herman, I need to tell you something. And Herman goes, I already know what you're going to say. And she goes, oh, Herman, you're so uncanny. And he goes, well, I happened to eavesdrop on you in Maryland and then happened to run into Dr. Dudley. And then she says, oh, Herman, you busybody. So he knows about Eddie's playmate. Eddie's new playmate is what he said, right? And she's like, how do you know? It's like, and I talked to Dr. Dudley. And Herman wants to know when approximately the child will be arriving or is due. And Liz's like, well, I can tell you exactly. It's a boy. He'll be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. His name is Elmer. 9 a.m. is perfect, don't you think? And when he arrives, he can have some breakfast if he's hungry. And Herman's like, what? Herman's eyes get big. And then he goes, well, science has made some awfully big strides since Eddie was born. But I guess automation is everywhere.
Yeah.
Okie doke.
Yeah.
Weird lines. But Herman's just like, what, 9 a.m. He's gonna have breakfast? What is going on? I don't get it. So the next
myself to him.
Yep. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. I can tell you exactly when he's gonna be here. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. It's a boy, his Elmer. Right? She's unplussed. He is like, ah! So then the next day, Marilyn arrives with Elmer. And I wrote this down because Elmer had a very specific look to him. I said, it looks like Elmer sees dead people. He looked like what's his face from that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
He looked just like him, just sitting there. I'm like, he sees dead people. And then so I'm like, oh, Eddie. And Eddie comes out of the cupboard.
No, he comes out from under the sink this time.
Oh, from the sink or the oven, maybe? I don't know. He comes out, right? And then he goes, oh, boy, you got some neat ears. That's what the Elmer says to Eddie. And they run off, right? Elmer's got toys, and it's like, oh, boy, right? And then Lily's like, it's a good kid, but he's not as good looking as Eddie. His ears aren't pointed, and he's got a dreadful haircut. And I'm like, all right. So Lily is kind of upset that Herman overslept, right? It's 9 a.m. the next day. He hasn't come down for breakfast yet. Elmer's been in, boom, gone. Because the car got there an hour ago. So Herman comes strutting in all giddy. He knows there's a new bundle of joy here. And it's like, I kept your breakfast cold for you, which goes against everything this show has shown me prior. Making pancakes, making eggs, making ham, making
flames
toast.
coming out of the oven.
Yes. He's like, I kept it cold for you. He's like, oh, I couldn't eat. I'm too excited about the child. And Lily goes, oh, him? He arrived right on time. He's in the living room. Like, she does not give a shit about this kid. And he's like, what? It's like, what are you doing in the kitchen if there's the baby's in the living room? And it's like, oh, I'll be fine. Go introduce yourself. And then I've got another surprise for you. He's like, I don't know if I can handle another surprise. My favorite part of the episode's coming up. Eddie and Elmer, they're playing with toy planes. And Eddie pulls up this thing. It's a remote control Frankenstein's monster. And he goes, look at what's this? He's like, oh, it's remote control. And he shows him, and he goes, remote control? He goes, yeah. He puts it down, and this thing's walking. Walking really slow. Now, here comes Herman. He's very excited. He goes, son, Elmer, are you in here? And then he looks. And I genuinely laughed out loud because I knew it was happening. That remote control Frankenstein walked out from around the couch. And he sees it. And he is just he thinks this is his child. He goes, oh, it's my son. He goes running up to this little toy. This toy is 8 inches tall, maybe, right? It's a Frankenstein. It's got gears coming off it. It makes noise when it walks. It's beautiful. He does not see Eddie. He does not see the Elmer. Does not care. All he sees is this little Frankenstein toy. And Grandpa comes in. He's like, "What's all the commotion?" He's like, "Oh." He comes over. He's 2, and Herman's like, "He looks just like me." And they're just like they're over the moon with this little toy. The head pops off, and Herman's like, "Oh, they had the same trouble with me when I was a boy." So that means that Herman was put together as a child and grew up into the man that he is now. It wasn't put together as a man. They found dead baby parts and put them together to make Herman.
I didn't think of it that way, but
also, now this whole time, Eddie and Elmer are just behind the couch.
Yeah,
it's not like Herman's not whispering. Him and Grandpa are not whispering. He's like, "Oh, come here, son, come here," the whole time, like, trying to get the thing to walk over to him. He's like, it's just nuts.
A yard away, 2.5, 5 feet. They're just over there playing toys. Very visible as well.
I'm with you, Derek. This had me busting up. This is probably the funniest the Munsters has ever been for me.
Yeah,
Watching this
for 4 episodes. This was like chef's kiss. I love this moment. He thinks this toy. It also cements Herman's a goddamn idiot. Yeah. Right. So Herman sees Eddie and he's like, "Come meet your new playmate." And he says, "That's just a toy." He grabs it. He goes, "That's just a toy. This kid over here is my new playmate." Elmer walks in and Herman faints because of Elmer's face.
Yeah.
He just faints. We come back. Herman wakes up on the couch and he's like, "Oh, you mean it's someone else's child and we're just keeping him for a little while? Oh, thank goodness. I don't know what I do with a child that looks like that."
God.
Because Herman's like his ears, his face, like he can't handle this kid and he faints. And so then Marilyn's like, "It's okay, Uncle Herman. Aunt Lily has a birthday surprise for you." And he's like, "Oh, I almost forgot it was my birthday." I did too, because minutes ago, he thought a wind-up remote control toy was birthed from his wife, and it was his son. And
I could have used a full episode of this confusion.
God, that was a beautiful moment. That was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. He genuinely loved that. So then they go outside, right? And Herman's got his eyes closed and being led by little Marilyn. Like, to me, this is such a letdown after this part, after that baby Frankenstein, right? So they bring him out, and Grandpa, he's got his eyes closed, and they tell Grandpa to bring up the car, and Grandpa's in this souped up hot rod hearse hybrid, which was the 2 cars put together, right? In record time, 2-day turnaround. And it is legit badass. That is a cool ass car. Right? And it comes up very loud, very hot rod, very hearse, got this weird seat in the back. So he's like, "Come on, get in, everybody. Take us for a ride through the cemetery," which was supposed to be a laugh moment. They all get out there and they cruise off, and they're singing for "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," which is really how the episode could have ended right there. But it doesn't. We cut over to Elmer and Eddie watching out the window, and Elmer goes, "You know, Eddie, you got the neatest parents in the whole wide world." And he goes, "I know, Elmer. I know."
Which, by the way, I love that, the fact that like everyone else like faints, runs, everything, but here's this kid who, first of all, they're scared to death of. Sees him, is just like, "Man, your parents are so cool." Like, the kid doesn't give 2 shits that they're these crazy monsters.
Yeah, that baby Frankenstein.
I'm still like chuckling to myself about that. That was so funny, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was kind of weird. The weird he is a jolly good fellow song. I was like, they're not gonna come up with some like creepy song to sing instead. Some sort of like more dour, like maybe like a funeral hymn or something, you know.
Or maybe "Happy Birthday," like, because it's his birthday. I guess anything there.
Well, I wonder if they thought, what was that "Happy Birthday" song a thing then?
Oh, right. And it was copyrighted for the longest time too. Like, you couldn't use it, right?
Yeah.
The Munster coach, with coach spelled with a K, is the name of the car. It appears in 20 episodes over the 2-year run, and also their movie. George Barris and his company are the ones who kind of designed it. It says here Barris paid a show car designer $200 to design that car.
Wow.
200.
Barris's company, they are also the people behind the Batmobile in 1966. His company also
that's cool.
built that as well. It's only one coach was ever made for the series and the feature film, and it was from 3 Ford Model T bodies put together. It's 18 feet long. Its 133-inch frame was made by hand, as were the brass radiators and fenders. It has blood red interior and black pearl paint. It took 500 hours to hand form the ornate rolled steel scrollwork.
Wow.
Had a dropped axle, split radius rods, T-springs. Its design featured a custom hearse body.
So that took them 500 hours, but in this, it was just like, a couple of days of work.
It's a rush job. Can you do it?
That's
and
cool,
they could.
I'm excited to see it more because, that car was awesome.
Yeah.
Fred Gwynn never sat in the seat to drive the Munster coach. Instead, he sat on the floor on the fur rugs. And during the time of the television series, there's a song released on a single called "Here Comes the Munster Coach."
Oh,
Here comes the Munster coach, huh?
Yeah.
Well, the car is badass. Like I saw that.
It is.
I knew it was gonna be badass because I remember it from being a kid, but I can't remember exactly what it looked like. And then it came rolling in. I was like, "Oh, that's very cool."
Yeah, like once she's there and she's like, "I want to buy this car and combine them," I was like, "Oh, this is we're gonna see the iconic car is finally revealed here in episode 4. This is like a big episode overall. Plus, you get just the whole stupidity of Herman's thinking a toy is his baby on top of it, along with this like iconic reveal of this car and stuff like that. Yeah,
I kind of thought Herman would want to drive it himself, but it seems like Grandpa's very ready to just like hijack the car, drive it. Get in the back, Herman. I'm gonna drive this.
Why do any of them have it if they got the ghost chauffeur?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
I don't know. Well, what did you guys think of this episode?
I'm agreeing with what Terry said earlier that this is the best of the 4 we've seen so far. And again, because of the doctor scene, Herman seeing his child, and then also the big reveal of the car.
Yeah, I was kind of like on like the meh side for a lot of it, but then that Frankenstein joke just had me rolling. I was like, you know what, that alone makes it one of the best episodes because none of the others have made me like laugh as loud as that Frankenstein baby thing. That was just so amazing. I did feel like sometimes maybe the jokes about, oh, it's the opposite of what you would expect, that's what we like. I felt like that was just like mostly like filler in this. Like they could have just cut that. They're just like trying to kill time with those jokes some of the times. But hey, the Frankenstein thing, worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Frankenstein thing, totally worth it. This episode definitely had my 2 favorite funny moments in the 4 we've seen so far. With I thought that was a penguin, and and the mistaking the toy for a child, which was just Herman is so stupid. Like that's the only way he had to outstupid the doctor. He's like, well, I gotta be dumber than the doctor now. And he thought a toy was this child.
Which by the way, I like your idea though of like Herman seeing this toy and being like, oh, that's my child. And this idea now of like at some point in time, Herman was put together as a small child. And like over the years, like what they just like, oh, he should be like a few inches taller this year. So let's add on let's get him some new legs, or let's give him the new arms. And oh no, I was thinking that they had to keep like,
no, well, maybe.
And he's got the same brain every time, maybe, but they keep having to like
upgrade,
update him until he's like fully grown, like would be a fully grown man at that point.
That's a lot of work. Who's doing that work?
Lily mentions that he falls apart from time to time. So
maybe,
they had to put him back together. But there's no like doctor on staff.
It's probably Grandpa. He was this weird magic.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder did Grandpa make Lily's husband for her?
Oh, maybe.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay. So in the IMDb, in the trivia part here, and I don't remember them mentioning this, but it says neither Lily nor Grandpa are quite sure when Herman was finally completed, but they estimate 1850. So he's 114 years old at this birthday also.
Okay.
But I don't remember that part being in a scene where them discussing that he was finally completed. So this again goes with so that'd be he's 114 based on when he was finally completed there. But what if he like finally completed means his fully grown self?
I don't know.
As opposed to like all the different versions of him over the years of like, oh, here's baby Herman and here's teenage Herman.
Well, they got married. We can pinpoint when they were married because they went on their honeymoon to a prison. They had a specific prisoner in it.
Yep.
And that was 1890 or something, right? Is that what you said, Terry?
Yep, 1894.
So they were married in 1894. No.
Someone
Unless they did one of
like
those where they got married and then
this.
they didn't go on a honeymoon for 40 years afterwards.
And how old is Eddie then?
He's
He's in like grade school or something like that.
Yeah. They're a weird family.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was, season 1, episode 4. It was all right. It was better than the other ones. It still had moments that really upset me.
Yeah, you seemed a lot more frustrated with this one than some of the others.
that baby Frankenstein thing cures all ills. That was awesome.
This is the first episode though where they don't have like some weird like story thing where you're like, oh man, I wish they would have used that.
Yeah, no, it's just
like
a bunch
gone
of nonsense.
Further.
There was a lot of nonsense in this episode
to
get to one payoff. Like, I wonder if that was how they came with this episode. Like, the one writer had a kid who had a remote control Frankenstein toy. Like, well, we got to make an episode out of this somehow.
Yep. I bet you're right. Yeah.
And there's so many convoluted plot layers to this babysitting and birthdays and
so much filler. Like, yeah, it feels like we could have just cut to that so fast. But
the whole Munster coach thing that could have been like a whole episode by itself with like weird stuff going on.
Yeah, whatever.
I would have loved an episode of Herman like caring for the toy the whole time and like Lily's being like, why are you messing with that thing so much? It's our child. He's acting all like crazy. Like, what? Why are you saying that? But maybe we'll get that later. I don't know.
Yeah. They revisit their favorite storyline from the first episode. Maybe. We'll see. All right. So, Keith, what you got going on, son?
As far as anything that I have going on, you can check out another little show that I am doing called That Was Great, Wasn't It? And that's where we're checking out some Saturday morning cartoons because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently.
Glutton for punishment. Masochistic.
Yes. Best of luck to you.
Yes. Godspeed, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Terry?
Oh, not a whole lot. When I'm not caring for my tiny science Terry toys as my children, I'm usually recording another podcast, Run the Reel. We talk about movies and stuff. Check it out. You can find it on pretty much any podcasting platform. So if you're curious, check it out. We do like categories like shark movies and robots, whatever. Pick some theme, and then we try to pick a movie within that theme.
Nice. Well, miniature robot monsters should be your next theme.
Ooh, that'd be good. I'll make them watch this. Just that clip. Just like they don't need to watch the rest.
And I don't got anything going on.
Buy any 12 packs for anybody recently?
Nope. And offer's still there. Ingenuity, imagination, intelligence do not work. Say it, and I'll buy a 12-pack. And until then, I guess it's always hunting season. The Munster Hunters are Derek Glascock, Keith Gawla, and Terry Vickroy. Keith is the host of the Pop-Up Filmcast, and That Was Great, Wasn't It? Both shows can be found wherever you subscribe to podcasts. For more about Keith's shows, you can follow Pop-Up Filmcast on Twitter at Pop-Up Filmcast. And That Was Great, Wasn't It? At How Great Was That? You can also follow Keith on Twitter at KG3030. Terry is one of the hosts of Run the Reel. It's a movie podcast that does deep dives on films with a theme. You can follow Run the Reel on Twitter at Run the Reel. You can also follow Terry on Twitter at Terry_Vickroy. If you would like more musings from me, you can follow on Twitter at Derek9 and the word 9. Follow Munster Hunters on Twitter at Munster Hunters and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice for more Munster Hunter fun. Munster Hunters is mixed and edited by me, Derek. All original music is composed and mixed by Terry Vickroy, and executive producers are me and Keith Gawla. The Munster Hunters is a Krispy Dodo production.